Hello, and welcome to the Venue Coach Blueprint for Owners. I'm Kyle Labar. This podcast is all about helping you fill your wedding venue with more bookings, earn more from each one, and keep your customers happy for a long time. We'll also talk about some tough times and big lessons that I've learned along the way. Let's dive in together and make your venue the best spot for weddings. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Venue Coach. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about a lesson learned on a tour that was given while I was out on an on-site visit for a client. And I was there, I was shadowing the tour. The manager who was running the tour, we were doing the training, it was the end of the night, so we'd already been practicing doing tours and how to make them better. And she does really great. We get to the close. The couple isn't quite ready to book. They want to book within the week. They really like the venue. We get them to commit to a 7-day date hold deposit, and which is awesome. She did a great job asking for that, and then they agreed. And this is where it broke down. So I'm gonna just talk about the um, the points of this lesson here and break down how we can improve it. So she follows up once they commit to it. She says, "Okay, well, would you like to use cash or check?" And they look at each other like we weren't planning on spending $700 today, and who carries a check around? And so they say, "Oh, we don't have either of those options on us right now." And so then the manager says, "Okay, well, just come back tomorrow and you can drop that off." And a little bit of backstory, they had 2 or 3 dates that they were interested in. So it wasn't like, oh, we have to have this date and we just need to lock it in for security. They were just fairly certain that they would book with the venue, but so that's why they wanted to lock it in. And we had assured them, that the date could, if they wanted to flex to a different date, they could, no big deal. So she says, drop the money off tomorrow, and they say, okay. And then we go back and we debrief the tour, and I say, hey, great job. One minor thing, why didn't we get the money before they left? And she said, well, they didn't have cash or a check. And I said, don't you have a Square reader? Don't you have a POS system at the bar? And she said, yeah, I guess I just don't know how to use it. And then this starts the lesson. It's don't let people who are ready to give you money walk away without you taking the money. And I explained this to them, and I let this happen. I didn't bring up the Square Reader in the moment. I let it happen because I just felt like if she didn't get there on her own, then the lesson wouldn't sink in unless she learned the hard way and experienced the pain of potentially not getting that date hold deposit. Um, and so I just let it play out. And so I was trying to not be too intrusive on the tour. And the reason why I like the date hold deposit is they're giving us money, and so they have to come back to us to get it back. And so instead of us chasing down these potential couples that want to book, which of course you want to follow up and do all this stuff and all of that, but it puts the ball back in our court, and so then they have to come get it, if that makes sense. So I really like date hold deposits. Um, anyways, I digress, but let's get back to the heart of it. So I just said, hey, in that instance, let's say you don't know how to run the POS system to run the credit card. You say, okay, well, we can take a credit card if that works. It's just a 3% fee, um, processing fee, but yeah, we can definitely do that. And then you say, which card would you like to use? You get the card, you go to the reader, and you say, give me just a moment, I'll ring this up. And then you try and figure it out. You just figure it out. Someone's trying to give you $700, you figure it out. And if you can't figure it out after like 3, 4, maybe 5 minutes, then you say, it looks like the system's down. Like you say some line, looks like the system's down. I'm not sure what's going on here. But if you don't mind, we can just take like, I'm sure it'll be back up in a little bit. I don't want to hold you guys up. Let me just write down the card info and then I'll run it in a little bit. And so then it gives you time to figure it out. So the crazy thing is, as people know who have a Square account and a POS system, is it's not actually that difficult to put in the information. So I grabbed their handheld Square Square reader when we were in the office. So this is after the fact. And then I showed them how to just plug in the item for a date hold deposit and their actual venue deposit. And then now it's just a button to press. And and so two lessons here. Don't let people leave without giving you money if they've already agreed to give you money. Two, make it so easy to take their money. And this could have been set up, I mean, months or years ago for my particular client. They could have set it up at the very beginning, but they didn't think about it. They didn't know, and they thought it was more complex than it was, and so they missed an opportunity. And how many opportunities have they missed by not having that as an option? And so that was just one from me being there, but how many in the past were being missed? And there's no way to know. So the key lessons: make it so easy to take people's money when they're ready to give it to you, and don't not take their money when they're ready to give it to you. And so to wrap the story up, the next day, the couple texts back. The manager was following up. Hey, whenever you're ready, I'm here. Blah 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 blah. And then they message back and say, hey, we thought about it some more, and we're really flexible on the date, so we just don't see it being that important to do the date hold deposit. We'll be in touch. So they lost the date hold deposit, and I actually need to follow up and see if they got the sale after all, but it adds more stress because now you have to keep chasing them instead of them coming back to you saying, "Hey, we're ready to go," or "Hey, can we get a refund?" And it gives you one last chance to try and get the deal. So yeah, that's really the what I wanted to talk about today on this episode. And I hope that this spares somebody else the pain in the future of losing out on these opportunities. That it's low hanging fruit. It should be easy, and it like learn from the mistakes of others so you don't have to learn them yourself. And so that's part of why I'm doing this podcast. Um, but yeah, if they're ready to give you their money, take it and make it easy to do that. So, anyways, if I hope you found this useful. If you did, please subscribe. Stay tuned for the next one, and I'll see you there.